Mike, before I forget, I was going to ask a question based on yesterday's meeting.
Yeah.
Nickleby had said we'd get all 100 questions or whatever, and they wouldn't have the kind of Minnesota specific ones. And one thing I was wondering is if when our Minnesota members are taking it, should they answer a question that might be different in Minnesota as per Minnesota or as per federation, since, you know, they weren't able to pull those questions out this year, he said.
I don't think there are any that'll are Minnesota specific or difference. There
Okay.
would be for mechanics, but not so much for rules.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember if there was anything that might tie in on that, so.
Right. All right. I know most of the people on. Who's 259-5079?
That's me, Mike. Rick Sheber.
Ah, okay. Wow, Rick is here.
Yeah.
I thought I'd get away
Don't
with
fall over.
I thought I'd get away with showing some of your plays without you being
Well,
aware.
that's fine because I'm not on Zoom. I'm just on the phone, so you can show whatever you got to show. I've already been warned for Nickleby, so.
Let's get started. I've got some plays to show later to talk through mechanics and things, but I'll start off with what I know so far about the season. Royce attended the meeting yesterday as well. I don't know how much the rest of you are aware, but right now there's nothing certain or set about what's going to happen. They're going to base it starting with what Governor Walz has to say, what he apparently is supposed to announce something by August 4th, or maybe August 4th was a date that the State High School League would announce something, but it'll be coming real soon. As most of you know, the small football conferences in college have been dropping like flies. MIAC just announced that they're not going to have fall sports. Royce, I think you'll be UMAC only this year, right? So far. Yeah, there you go. All of a sudden it's fun going to Crown and Martin Luther. And so I'm going to go through quickly what they covered at the meeting, or some of the things, just so you guys are aware and can maybe let your crews know. I will, let's see, share the screen here. All right. Let's see, slideshow. From the beginning. All right, does everybody see the PowerPoint?
We got it.
Okay. Oops. The plans are going to depend on Governor Walz's announcement. No matter what, the season will look different. Could be things like only the referee talking to the head coaches in pregame. Maybe the benches extending farther down the sidelines so the teams are spread out. As far as using electronic whistles, Jason indicated that, as Nickleby indicated, that as far as he's concerned, you know, it's not a waste to buy them if you want to use them, because he believes they'll be allowed into the future. And don't worry about things when it comes to things like masks and whistles, electronic whistles about color. That won't be a factor. If the only thing left to order is hot pink, order hot pink. So all of those things will be allowed. As far as mechanics clinics, I don't know if that word's gone out yet to everybody, but they're going to be Zoom meetings, 8:19 and 8:24, 5:30 to 9. Same format, you know, we'll be voting on plays. They'll show plays and you vote what you think the call is. They will do breakouts by position. They're able to do that with Zoom. So then you'll break out for a position only portion of the clinic. This counts as your mandatory attendance at a mechanics clinic, which is the requirement you need to fulfill to be eligible for sections. They're going to record them and make them available for future viewing. Viewing that recording may or may not count as clinic. I see I got a typo there. Clinic attendance. It really depends on how the clinic goes. If they think that watching the recording just isn't enough, that it isn't enough participation or whatever, that if that wouldn't count as attendance, which means you really need to sign up for one of those sessions to be guaranteed that you'll get counted as attending a mechanics clinic this year. Jason's planning to have mini clinics during the season, if there is a season, on irregular Tuesdays, for instance, maybe an hour where he just gets on and talks through some plays. So nothing real formal, no set dates, anything like that. No requirement to attend. Rules exam, Royce asked a question about that. The full exam's available right now on the Arbiter, so you can print it and answer the questions. The live exam will be available on 8/10, and that will be all 100 questions in the same order as the exam that's available on the Arbiter. In past years, they've put maybe 60 out there. This year, they're just not going to try to cull any. They'll put all 100 out there. The observation program is going to be limited this year because of COVID issues and financial issues and other things, but crews they feel they have to see, they'll go look at. So if you want to be seen, observed for some reason, let me know. But you know, being observed is not a requirement to be selected for state tournament. And they will be doing observations via huddle in some cases, which is not quite as good as being at the field, but it's similar to what I do for the crews when I review a game and send you know, the referee some plays that I believe they should look at. A miscellaneous unrelated item is there's a possibility that they'll go to an MSHSL logo uniform shirt. They've done this in other sports. That might be, just a second.
Did Mike go away?
Yep, I did.
Yes, he did. He's back.
What the hell? He just randomly gets up in mid-sentence and takes off?
I said just a minute, Mr. What the hell. So I think they're doing this in other sports, but it's a possibility for 2021 with the possibility that it would be mandatory by 2022 or 2023, which means if you're like trying to decide whether to buy 5, 6 new shirts, maybe hold off till you know whether these things are going to come into play. Do any of you work sports that have MSHSL logos? Does basketball do that or anything? They do, okay.
Yep.
This would be similar, whatever they do there. Are they mandatory?
Yeah, they are now. They did a similar thing to this, started them 1 year, and then they made them mandatory a year or two later.
Okay. Just a heads up. This year, basically, with everything going on, there are no additional requirements for state level tier. So if you select sections level and state level, you'll be good you'll have one thing to do, which is to attend a mechanics clinic, I think is the additional thing. That at some point there'll be a few extra things to do to be eligible for state, but not this year. And sometime in late September, they'll send an email to every official that has qualified for state level tier. And as usual, the only ones who actually respond by filling out the application would be the white hat. So as an example, on Royce's crew, Royce's guys, all 5 of them would have met the requirements to be eligible for state. They'd all get this email, but only Royce would fill out the application and return it. Any questions on that? All right, sorry about that. Let's see. Okay, any questions in general about the season coming up?
Mike, do you know when that registration for those 2 clinics or attending one of them is going to come out? I saw the notification that the dates were there, but I didn't see any registration for them.
Right, I think in early August. I think the thinking is that they'll do the clinics whether there's going to be a season or not. But didn't Jason say that, Royce? I think he did.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
were waiting their whatever board of directors meeting is the 4th.
Yep.
And then, all this other stuff goes live on the 10th. And then, like you said, Walls has got some stuff coming up and they're just waiting on some of that. And then they'll start releasing things, hopefully.
Yep. So you'll be able to sign up at that time, with the idea being that then you'll have your attendance done. If there's football in the fall or football in the spring, either way, you're good to go. If there's no football till next year, then you still have met your attendance requirement every 3 years. And Jason did mention, there's several things they'll probably keep doing even after COVID, virtual meetings and such. So it could end up where every year, I don't know about the mechanics clinics. I won't say for sure, but all these things do have an expense to them. So doing things virtually does save them money, and they could end up doing a lot more meetings virtually, possibly the mechanics clinics too, just to make it easier for everyone to attend. Okay, does everybody see the play here, the field?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
This play here is my favorite thing to argue and debate. I know Royce and Rick are solidly against me on this, but what we have here is a false start by the right tackle that the referee flags and the line judge who is on that side does not. And I view that as basically a crew mechanic room for improvement. I don't want to say mechanic fail, but the referee should be flagging backfield, quarterback, and the running backs. The line judge really needs to own that tackle jumping. When the referee flags it, he can't be sure that maybe there wasn't an encroachment or something else that, but we'll just watch it. There's an end zone view as well. And you'll see the line judge looks like he kind of wants to, but then he doesn't. And Rick has it. When you watch it from behind, the question is, how does you as a referee, are you always going to know whether this is a real jump or possibly did this guy opposite him get in the neutral zone first? I mean, I use the term you don't want to make a living doing this quite a bit, but in general, I went many years at the end of my career, I just wouldn't touch line jumps. I let the guys take care of that. And I just, as an observer, I don't like seeing the referee flagging a lineman jumping that the wing does not flag. This is clearly a false start, so it should have been flagged by the line judge. Any questions about that? Royce, I know you feel the other way. I think the point I would,
Mike, I do have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
So in the new, listening last year to, not nitpicking false starts,
Okay.
with that in mind, because we're supposed to get big ones, not little ones that didn't influence the play. So, when they reviewed all that last year, are we supposed to let that little one go? Because I agree with you, it's clearly a false start, but they made those points about, not being so tight on that. And so that's the only comment that I had.
Were they talking about interior line or wide receivers? I know they've talked that way in the past about wide receivers. I can tell you that to me, that jump was too big to ignore. It makes you look like you don't know what's going on. I remember one game I had in particular where my crew seemed to be seeing false starts that I just never did see on the field or at home on huddle. And, but other than that, I think I feel like everybody's pretty good at getting the ones they need to. I was guilty of letting guys take off in the backfield, and then if they reset or went in motion, I let it go, and I shouldn't have. So I was guilty of letting them get away with that. But if I understood it right, the borderline false starts were more about wide receivers where it's sort of a, no harm, no foul kind of thing. I think if a lineman jumps as much as this one did, that's too much to let go. Does anybody disagree with that or have different thoughts?
I would like to hear from Royce on what makes him disagree with Mike or even Rick if he disagrees. Because I kind of have a thought on it too.
I don't know. I think Mike's just throwing me out there for bait or something. But no, I probably, to Mike's point, I mean, I've probably called some of these over the years, and particularly, where I get really locked in where, hey, I've got that opposite tackle or trips on this side. So a good example is when there's trips on that line judge side, I'll actually, now that we have the radios, and I used to do it verbally, I'll say, hey, Ron, I've got your tackle. And then I feel like I'm kind of owning that tackle because he's got 3 eligibles on that side. And he's got 3 guys between him and the tackle. And I'll definitely probably flag a false start on that tackle because I'm staring right at him. And it's just something, particularly when I say I've got your tackle. So I know that's one of the instances. And so, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a disagreement. It's one of those things that, like Mike said, this is one we should get, and you'd like to give a chance to the wing guy to get it. And then do you come in a little later with the flag? And in this case, I think, the line judge didn't flag it at all. So Rick, in the long run, had the flag the crew needed to get the call right. But I think what Mike's saying is his flag came out before the line judge even thought about throwing his flag. That's kind of a difference there. So.
Yeah, I think on this particular one, almost any observer would have a problem with it because the wing did not have a flag. They would view that as a, you need to be catching those when you're working the wing. Whether they, you wouldn't want to have your crew being where they were counting on you as the referee to get those. They need to own that call and make it when the time comes. I do understand the trips thing, maybe throwing a little bit of, a difference in there, but does that kind of answer your question, Kurt?
It does. Mike, did you get an answer from that crew on that particular play? Because I mean, perennially, I think if any of you guys, you've all refereed lured games, and their linemen are skinny and they're small, and to me, that lineman was blocked by that tight end, and that linesman maybe didn't quite see the jump because it was not necessarily out, it was more to the side. So I was just wondering if that was one of the reasons, perhaps.
Rick, any comment? Do you even remember the play?
Yeah, you know, Mike, again, and I'm not looking at the play, but I think you and I discussed this before. But you know, it's difficult sometimes. When we get, like Roy said, we get so locked in and you see it. You know, you throw the flag when you see a foul, and you know, I totally understand what Mike's saying, and Mike and I have talked about this before. But, you know, and sometimes having an additional flag down, if it's a dead ball foul, you can still discuss it, whether that's right or wrong or indifferent.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, I understand. Mike and I have talked about it. I understand, yeah, that flag probably needed to come from the wing.
Yeah,
but if I remember right, I don't think he saw the movement at all, Mike, did he?
I don't
I think we talked about
what
that.
he
Yeah.
said. You know, I guess the thing is I would personally not be comfortable as the white hat with being counted on to get those line fouls. If my wings told me, look, Mike, I'm just not going to see them, you got to get them, I would be very
which is not the case for sure, obviously.
I would be very uncomfortable. All it would take, like in this instance here, what if the backs were set differently towards the left side? You can't watch the right tackle and also watch, say, a wing back on the left side. Or anyway, I think we all get the point. It's
Yep.
You don't want to make a living doing that. But as a crew, my comment would have been, Tim, I need you to get that one, you know. And I do understand what Kurt's saying. Sometimes it's hard to see, but Kurt, that's why as a wing, you'll get paid twice as much as the other guys on the crew. That's a good thing. Now this is the hazards of a visible play clock. I am not making fun of these guys. This is Ryan Buckingham. And, high school crews were not always used to visible play clocks, but you can see this play clock is like on 15 by the time Ryan blows the ready. So just something you need to be aware of. You know, the back judge, it was like I believe this was the first scrimmage play of the game, so he probably just wasn't used to thinking about it. But, you know, it really stood out with the play clock right there that, gee, it's running. And
yeah, that was in Fillmore Central, and we had the guy basically had it backwards. He would run it right away when we weren't ready, and then when he should have been running it, he wasn't running it. So we had a lot of issues with that guy, even though they said they were used to it. It wasn't their first season with the play clock. We had a lot of problems with them.
Well, he was used to running it the wrong way, apparently.
He was running it completely backwards.
Let's see. Here we got a cheap shot on the quarterback. Referee, great job keeping your eyes on the quarterback after the handoff. This is what you need to be doing. In comes the flag. Nice job. I think that was Marshall. Let's see. This one here. Okay, this one, Rick, you'll remember this play too, even though you can't see it. There's a tall defensive end who comes in here to block the pass, and on the follow through, his arms kind of hit the back of the quarterback's neck and bend it down. This was definitely not a deliberate hit, but it's something, if you're not going to flag it, at least you have to tell the guy, you came close to roughing. You got to stay away from his head. I'll just let it roll here.
I think that one, Mike, we don't even remember seeing it till after looking at the film, I think.
Yeah, and it's not a vicious blow, but you don't want this guy doing this. He's athletic, he's tall, and he's banging the quarterback in the neck there. you know, I would have supported a flag, but at least he needed to be talked to. Any thoughts on that from the veterans in the group here, which is everybody except Kurt, I think, as far as veteran white hats?
I can tell you that player, every game we had them, we had an issue with him and his twin brother, if it's the guy I'm thinking of.
I was going to say the same thing. I think we had him, and that player, we had to warn him for, I think, something very similar to that.
Let's see. All right, now here, Ryan, is your turn in the spotlight for flagging a false start. Now, I may be missing this, but the only player I see false start is in the trip set at the top of the screen. So this is one you really want to stay away from, and you do have a flag out on this. I didn't see somebody else jump, so if somebody else jumped, apologies, but okay, now from that view you can't really tell, but from this view you can tell Ryan has a flag. So I think Ryan would agree, if indeed he was flagging the guy out on the trip side, you need to be off of that, let the wings handle that. All right, now here we have this one's kind of weird. It's easier to see from the backside from Ryan's point of view, but there's close to a helmet foul here, and I don't think it was a foul, but I would tell that guy, you need to watch what you're doing. Watch the defensive end come in on the quarterback here. Now that didn't look like much, but when you watch it from the back here, it looks. I just would tell him to watch how he's tackling. He's a little high. You know, that didn't look too good from that view.
Oh, doesn't he have the ball? Isn't that on the runner?
Right, but you know, if you still can't. They call it face tackling. You can't lead with your helmet, right? So that's what I would tell him. You know, you came close to leading with your helmet. You need to be hitting with the, you know, your shoulders, your whatever, not the head. Don't be leading with the head, whether it's face tackling or leading blocking with the head. We all know it's a difficult play to call, but you know, there's sort of a pattern where these rangy defensive ends that are tall and athletic, if they're belting the quarterback high, they're going to, you know, kind of be hitting him around the head, right? We've all seen it, and they need to be talked to and or flagged if it crosses the line.
When you got a shorter quarterback and they hunch down to absorb contact, it really gets hard.
Yep, I agree. That's why it's not black and white. I just, it never hurts to talk to guys, you know, watch how you're hitting, see what you're hitting, you know. All right, what you're going to see here, this is sort of a crew thing, something for you to talk about as a referee with your umpire. You're going to see a high punt snap here. Marshall does a good job backing out and getting out of the way. The umpire kind of freezes and ends up in the middle of things. You need to talk to your umpire about what are we going to do if we have a high punt snap, and encourage him to back out, get wide, get out of the way. So I'll let it run both ways. This is more of a you working with the umpire kind of thing. As you can see, he's just kind of, you'll get a good view here. He sort of freezes and then hopes that everybody just sees him.
Mike, you can be rest assured that we talked about that play a lot. Oh, he disappeared again.
Chasing the cat.
Every time Prondo's going to say something, he's getting the hell out of there.
Well, that was my nephew that did that, and our tip to him is he was slowly backpedaling instead of turning, turning and run. And yeah, so he was kind of asking, I think that happened in the first half. So he asked us at halftime, what the hell am I supposed to do in that situation? We said, turn and get the hell out of there.
Good job. Let's see. Here, I think, is this Royce? Here we have a good offensive hold call, but I would talk to this defensive end and say, I need to see you fighting more and less hand waving, because when you hand wave, it makes me feel like I don't want to flag it. So watch, I believe it's this pair right here. If I'm wrong, we'll rerun it, but see, look at him, fight. Don't be waving your arms around and stuff. And I was curious, Royce, whether you told him, hey, next time I might not flag that if you're going to wave your arms like a.
I did actually. He said, well, thanks for getting that. And I said, you better work a little harder to get away next time.
Excellent. That's 100% what, because he came really close to losing the flag, didn't he? By giving up and sort of waving his arms. It's like
I did actually tell him, I said, it's a good thing you were still pursuing. I said, if you would have just, stopped and done that, I said, you don't get a flag there.
Okay, here's round 2 on the bad punt snaps. Must have been a problem all night. I have one tip here for the R and U working together. What happens is this time he does drop back, but they end up in a situation where they could have ended up with is it a safety or not a safety? And it didn't happen. It wasn't very close, but the run is towards Marshall. So what I would want is the guy that the punter is running away from to plant himself on that goal line. Marshall is back where he has to be, and at that point, the umpire should have planted on the goal line. And if the run had gone the other way, then Marshall would be the guy planted on the goal line. You'll get a better look from the end zone view. So.
And I think what they're doing is they're communicating which one of them is going to stay on the goal line and which one's going to go deep. I don't think we've ever done
right. But here's the issue.
I get it. That's a very good tip that I think we should share, because I don't think we've ever approached it that way.
Right. Because without that, if this had been a barn burner over whether it was half a yard out or on the line, he would have a hard time selling that he knew, right? Marshall was where he needed to be. And see, you can see his foot there on the far right. He's on like the 2. It would have been easy for him to drop back to the goal line and have a good look down the line there.
Mike, where was that ball snapped from?
Let's see. 20? 19 maybe?
Okay, it's hard to justify being on the goal line. Then I was just going to say maybe starting there, but I do like your tip on making sure one of the guys locks in the goal line.
And let's face it, how often do we sit down and talk to our umpire about handling screwy plays on punts? We don't. And this particular game challenged Marshall, and I guess it was Prondo's cousin, you said?
My nephew.
Nephew, yeah. Josh, they kind of were under the gun doing it on the fly.
Yeah, they talked a lot about it after this game.
Yeah. And never saw another high snap.
For some of the younger white hats, not that there's many on here, but I would strongly suggest that we make sure we get ourselves set and locked in prior to the snap and we're not moving backwards while the ball's being.
Thank you for that, Tristan. I actually had that in my notes as well. So agreed. R should be set at the snap, but was still moving. I didn't like Marshall's positioning here because he's just too darn close. I think guys on these, we want to be more at a 45 beyond like the 15 at a 45-degree angle. He's wide enough, but boy, is he shallow. And that doesn't put him in good position when this ends up being a run. You know, he's trying to, he could have easily ended up in the middle of something he didn't want to be in. So I don't know where you normally set up, but I think for most of us, we want to be back here on the 15. I'm okay with his width. Some guys like being even wider. They like being way out here. That's okay too, but I definitely want to be deeper. He's basically, 7-8 yards from the line of scrimmage. All right, now this is a subtle point, but I got dinged by an observer, our friend Larry Friedman Rice, at one of our games, that we were all busily writing on our cards and the teams are ready to go, and game flow, right? Well, Marshall, I'm not sure what he's writing. I won't question it. Maybe he was writing a note to himself, score, whatever. But everybody's waiting while he finishes up writing here. Don't be doing that. Be ready. Keep the game rolling. Whatever you're writing can wait, or just basically after that criticism. Now, the other thing was, okay, the ball's knocked down at the 50. If you really need your R to wind on this one, Marshall should not have to wind. If there was a need to do that, then the up guys need to take care of that next time. I never wound when it was that short. I just stayed off of it. I didn't like getting involved on when it was touched 50 yards up the field. You got to depend on your crewmates to do that. Any questions on that one? Again, that's just a small game flow issue when it comes to the writing. I just stopped writing thanks to Larry. Let's see. Here we go again with another high hit on the quarterback after an option pitch. This is Rick's game, Caledonia Lured. Almost exactly what we've been talking about. I just wanted to show it again. Rick is looking at it and he passes on it, which is fine. I'm just very glad he was looking at it so he could say, I saw it, coach, and in my mind it was okay. Not vicious, but again, telling the guy, hey, see how his arm hit him in the neck? Just, it wouldn't take much for that to be a forearm across the face. Just try not to go high. Get the right target zone there. Okay, here's a nice job of coordination between Rick and Z, Jeremy Zacher, on an intentional grounding call. They take their time. So you're going to see the quarterback roll out towards Caledonia's bench. The quarterback's getting tackled and then throws the ball. That's almost always intentional grounding. If you start your throw after contact, think intentional grounding. It's coming. He throws it, it goes, 8 yards. I don't think it even got back to the line of scrimmage. Nobody within sight. Z is communicating with Rick on the 0-2-0. Rick gets his flag out. If you watch the sideline, you'll see that Carl Frichte has an opinion on whether there should be a flag thrown or not. So I'll let it roll here. See behind Z? But this is excellent. This is a prototype for how to handle intentional grounding. There's no question. This is an easy one, but they still took their time and then threw the flag. Now, hopefully Rick does a much better job than I did, because I invariably lost the spot of where he actually threw the pass, and I would just guess. But nobody ever yelled at me for getting that spot wrong, because nobody else had it either. So just do your best, because that 5-yard penalty is from the spot of the foul. But very nice here, very well done. A simple, you know, we can't ignore this one, not very challenging judgment-wise, but the mechanics of it were perfect. Just taking your time, not being afraid to throw the flag quite a ways after the pass, and no concern about, ooh, we can't throw it now, it's too late. Well done, well handled. Here we go again. Oops, what did I do? Uh-oh. Sorry about this.
Hey, Mike, can I make a comment quick on intentional grounding?
Yeah, go ahead while I try to get that screen back.
I believe it's been mentioned that they don't want you to point either in high school, correct?
Oh, like whether it got to the line or not?
Or yeah, that, or whether if a receiver's in the area when we're talking about intentional grounding.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I heard that. Did anybody else hear that they don't want us pointing to the player? I would not have objected to that. Are you guys seeing the play again or something else?
Oh, unfortunately, we can see you.
We just see all the officials.
Okay, I'm not sharing my screen then. Sorry, I don't know what happened on the. How do I get this back? All right, now I share screen. Sorry about this, guys. You'd think we'd all be experts by now. All right, how about now?
Yep.
Did any of you other guys, have you heard that? Don't be pointing at an eligible.
I guess I haven't heard it, Mike, but
I honestly think it's probably better communication if you are, because you're indicating who you think is there. But again, it's not what we think sometimes, it's what they want us to do.
To me, it's a visible sign, you know, that for a coach or observer that, you know, here's who we're thinking was the eligible in the area. I have not heard that at all from anybody, so I'm not sure where that would have come from. In college, they'll point on which side of the line of scrimmage it ended up on, and we don't need to do that because it doesn't matter. So I don't know, T, if they were referring to that or something else. Do you remember where you heard it from?
Oh, I think it might have been an old mechanic thing maybe a couple of years ago. I just didn't know if we strayed away from that. Because I do remember 3 to 5 years ago that they didn't want us pointing, but maybe now we're okay to do it. I guess that's basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I never did object to it, so I can tell you that I think it's a good thing to do, especially if it's a little obscure who it might be. Just pointing to say, you know, my call is that he was in the area. That's sort of what you're really saying with that point, and to me, it's a good thing. Let's see, another one where, again, I get kind of claustrophobic here because Marshall just seems tight here to me. I'm not used to seeing the referee in the picture from this angle. I just would not be afraid to be deeper and wider. And, you know, Marshall saw these plays last year, you know, when I did my eval, so I'm not telling him anything he doesn't know. I just, you know, everybody should think about where their starting position is. And the further along in my career I got, the more it seemed approved to be deeper and wider. So don't be afraid to do that. I will seldom criticize an official for a referee for being too deep and too wide. Okay, Marshall's closer here. He's at 12. He's still in my mind. I wouldn't mind being a little deeper. But along with that, and this is the last play I got, so we're almost done. He gets a solid offensive hold call on the left tackle, but the quarterback's rolling to the left, and he stays focused on that call, that flag, that player too long, and the quarterback does get dumped. And I'm not sure Marshall gets a good look at it. If you're going to make this call, and it is a good call, then make it. Do your best to get the number, but then get out there and protect the quarterback. And we'll see it from both views. We'll watch when Marshall throws his flag, how his focus stays on that. See where he's looking? And the quarterback rolled out, and he didn't follow along. And you'll see from this view that he does get dumped, not viciously, but you want to see what happens to the quarterback. So there's bodies flying around, and Marshall's focus probably stayed too long on that call he made, which was a good call. Marshall knew the play was coming back. But you still need to take care of that quarterback. What if there had been a roughing that you missed that would have meant, a double foul and replay the down? So just sort of emphasizing what it's our main job to do. That's all the plays I had. We're a little early tonight. It's 7:45. If anybody has, so I did I went through all the crews I looked at last year and found plays related to the R that I think would be helpful for all the Rs to see. I really don't know what the season's going to look like. I'm planning on doing the same thing this year. Just as a fair warning, I may do more sharing of plays during the season that I think would help all of us. We all need to get over feeling embarrassed but it's not all going to be bad stuff. Some of it's good stuff, but we need to kind of get over, being embarrassed for people to. Are you seeing the meeting now? Did I do it right?
Yep.
Okay. I have such confidence in my Zoom abilities. So, I'm going to do it, and I hope everybody takes it in the right spirit. If one of your plays is shown, I think you see when you go through these plays that you can find plays in every game you work or anybody else works where things could have been done better. So I think we're all mature enough to know it's not a rip job. It's helping everybody get better. With all that said, we do have 10 minutes. I can give you the time back, but if anybody has any questions about, certain plays or anything about the season coming up that maybe you missed or anything like that, anybody got anything?
Yeah, Mike, I got a question on, you said about lengthening the benches to spread the teams out. Are they going to enforce a distance between the line judge and the teams, so, they're not 2 yards behind them or 3 yards behind them or whatever?
Yeah, what did I see? I saw where I don't know, Kansas High School Association, or maybe it was Texas, but they're laying out, these rules for what they want the players to do. And basically they don't want a lot of extra people on the sideline. Not so much players, and maybe not so much in the kind of schools we're dealing with, but, the kind of schools that have, 100 non-players, non-coaches on the sideline. And I think they are going to want, social distancing between the players on the sideline. And I saw in this one state that I was looking at, it might have been Kansas, the chain crew mandated to wear face masks, and others that are encouraged or whatever. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of changes in that area where, they're not going to be, the teams themselves are going to be more like spreading their players out. There's no reason to bunch up. And
Well,
not only,
I'm more thinking like St. Charles, right? Where you got like a foot between the side judge, the line judge, and the team.
yeah,
You know,
we're always
that's what scares me for my line guys.
yeah, we're always going to have those outlying situations where a field is tight, and it's unfortunate, but they are supposed to be 2 yards away anyway, and if they're letting the team spread out from say the 10 to the 10, that would hopefully alleviate some of the pressure. I'm not sure it would. I'm not sure there's a way to make it perfect there. I don't really have a good answer for a way to make it really perfect, if that makes sense. I think it can be better if there's more room for them.
Yeah,
But
it'll be interesting what the high school league says to see how many officials show up.
Well, and one thing they have said is that every game needs to have 5 officials. That doesn't mean if you get hurt, you can't have a run with 4, but it means they're not going to let schools start with 4. You start with 5. They want the games covered by 5 officials. But yeah, it is a concern whether guys are going to come back, and it's obviously not just the on the field stuff. The Big Ten, or maybe it's the whole COC, which is like the Big Ten, the MAC, and the Missouri Valley. I understand that they're going to have their officials. They're not going to be able to fly to games, so they have to be at games that are within driving distance of their home. And they also cannot drive together. They each have to drive in a separate car. And when they get to the hotel, instead of having a team meal together, they'll eat in their room. And instead of having a pregame meeting in the hotel, they will have a pregame meeting, but it'll be via Zoom. They'll all be in their rooms. So we've talked about this. What's the concern going to be when you're covering a game in Caledonia and you got an hour ride with your 5-person crew yakking in each other's faces for an hour each way, then getting dressed in a small locker room, showering up afterwards? How many weeks are we going to go before somebody gets sick? I don't know. I mean, they're not, I would be surprised if they mandate things like drive separately, but there are more questions than answers right now. Anything I said would be as much speculation as you guys have. Like I said, with all the small college conferences dropping their programs or dropping their seasons, sometimes it's hard to see how we're going to make it work. My biggest concern would be the long car trips together. That just seems to go against what we're supposed to be doing. I'm not sure driving from here to Moorhead and back is any safer than getting on a plane and flying somewhere. But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of winding away from your question about the tight sidelines, but it's, that's just one question among many, as far as how we're going to keep ourselves safe. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm glad I'm not the person who's got to make these calls, because I wouldn't know what to, So, the really, elderly guys that are still working, the Mark Bronzinskis, and the really, really old guys that are still out there.
Wait a second. Am I the oldest one other than you?
You might be.
I don't know if you're that much older, Mark.
Schaber, you got to be older than me.
I'm not 80 yet. How old are you?
He has more hair than you,
Hey.
Mark.
Hey, you know what? I'm on a leave of absence for 4 years, so it's not going to be my problem.
Well, what are you doing corrupting our call then?
I might work a B squad game, but I'll be driving by myself. Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine.
But yeah, it's a great question, Greg, and you know, it may be answered by the fact that we're not out there running at all. I don't know. But at the end of the day, for any individual that just isn't comfortable doing it, you know, it's going to be up to every individual whether they want to participate or not. You know, it's the virus kind of takes the joy out of a lot of everyday things we do, and it's going to make officiating less fun. You know, I mean, there's painful aspects to it that we've never had to deal with before, things we never had to think about. And, you know, who likes having all these extra rules to think about for the simplest things, right? So I understand. And, you know, I don't know, at the end of the day, what Bob Madison, who's the state high school league guy in charge of football, said. The only thing we know for sure is that football is going to look different this year. What all those differences are, up to and including not having it, you know, could be anything along the range there, but it will be different. It'll look different. It'll sound different. So I hope that has everybody in a cheery mood heading into August. And
I've been dealing with a swimming pool all summer, Mike, so this is a lot easier to deal with than a pool. So
there you go. It's you know, we're having a pizza lunch tomorrow at work in the parking lot, and there's like seven different rules on how we're going to do it. You know, each person goes up to get a slice of pizza one at a time. Try to any piece you touch, you should take. And
there'll be a document on it. I know I've got all kinds of documents. So,
so hey, listen, guys. I guess I'll finish it here. I sure would welcome any and all questions you guys have over the course of the year about different plays or plays you want me to look at. I'm not sure what I'll be doing over the season for, you know, ongoing stuff. Jason is going to be doing a good job. You know, he's going to be sending out plays again. He's thinking about those mini clinics. So, you know, I probably, like I said, will lean towards plucking plays from huddle that I watch and, you know, things that we all can learn from. But if there's any topic you want me to talk about, like a tough play, like I said, the intentional grounding thing, it could be something, you know, that I can write up that doesn't take very long. But I'd be glad to, you know, send along my thoughts on how we should handle things and get a dialogue going.
Yeah, you know, Mike, you know, maybe some complex, just penalty enforcement. You know, I got a new umpire since Jarrett stole my other one, but you know, just that, you know, we could go over and make sure we're in agreement, you know, on a roughing the passer, right? You know, here's the penalty enforcement on these types of things. Here's the penalty enforcement, just so you know where you think.
Yeah, I can cover stuff like that over the course of the season. That's one of the most basic, most important things we do, and it's important we're all on the same page. But yeah, I'll plan on that. But if there's anything else now or in the future, I don't often get notes from guys. I get occasional questions, but don't be afraid to shoot them my way. Sometimes it's just good to talk to other people about how you handle certain things. All right, we got 7:58. Any last minute thing here tonight? Hey guys, I've enjoyed doing these. Hopefully we'll be talking soon. If not,
Thanks a lot, Mike.
yeah.
Thanks for doing this, Mike.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Really
it, Mike.
appreciate it.
thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Talk to you later.
Good luck, guys.